From the true North Star of professional wrestling, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This is Wrestling is for Losers, a podcast that's not fake, it's predetermined.
And we are back in our full effect. Tonight, we gather on the eve of the big showdown between Dynamite and NXT, which will determine which company is the best ever and which one will be bankrupt by the end of the week. Plus, we've got wrestling news, and we begin our discussion of the Montreal Screwjob and the dawn of the Attitude Era as we review Survivor Series 1997. But first, let's meet our co-hosts, and we are back to our full complement, but we will save our missing compadre, because first we have to introduce our WWE shill. It's Texas Crazy Horse, everybody.
Sup, dog? That's all I got.
Thanks. All right.
Fantastic.
Was that in honor of the Attitude Era?
Oh, I should have said bro for Vince Russo. Can we redo that?
No. And also joining us, he hasn't watched wrestling in 30 years, and he hasn't been on the show in 30 half days. It's Koltrane, everybody.
Yes, thank you, Boots. 30 years since his eyes have seen the titans of the turnbuckles making moose milk on the mat of madness. You see these raging rhinos rocking and rolling ringside while the retinas burned radish red. These people, these picturesque people of power, presenting pectoral perfection, inviting you to a puberty-packed party of pain, pizzazz, and protein-pumped prima donnas. It's about time, Boots, that these buxom, bulbous brochachos brought branded bombs and brazen beatings with unbelievable bite. Who farted? Was it the flatulent fans? Watching these fantastic fights of fancy, facing foes who fly far, far away, face first into fun bags of fame, fortune, and fee-fi-fo fun? Who farted? More like, who didn't? My name is Koltrane, and when it comes to wrestling, I'm relieved. Yes, there we are. Yes. Feels good to be back, boys. Maybe not for the audience, but it feels great for me. Yes.
Well, all I can say is thank God we're not actually in the same room.
Right. Yes. No kidding, right? My goodness gracious. My goodness gracious.
Well, I love it. Between fun bags and farts, you have set us up for some Attitude Era discussion. So
absolutely.
That's true. That's very true.
Very excited.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
Can I start this off by apologizing to Koltrane?
Mm.
Every bad thing I said about you last week,
Yeah.
Shu wrote it down and made me say it out loud.
Yeah.
I apologize. I didn't
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah. No, I get it. He actually wrote it in the show notes and then gave me access to the show note. It's still in the show notes.
Oh, good.
So I saw it all. And he actually wrote written by Shoe Boots at the end. He actually wrote that.
And
so there was no doubt.
And I misspelled my name.
Yes, exactly. Right. Exactly. To try and cover it up. But I think I know. Right. Yes, exactly. So no, it's all good text. I get it, but I appreciate you saying it nonetheless. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.
Oh man. All right. Well, what a crazy week. We're going to talk about what's coming this week in just a moment, but it was Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend, so I sadly did not get to see any wrestling. I was visiting family out in places with internet, but not fast enough to watch stuff. Internet, if you get it. So I I read about Fastlane. I read about Collision. Interesting. We had some big title changes on both companies this weekend. Tex, I'm going to ask, did you watch Fastlane?
Did I watch Fastlane? I lived Fastlane.
No.
1/4 mile at a time, as Vin Diesel would say. This was amazing. This is they've been doing this for, I think, for this whole year now. Every one of these cars that don't matter, no one cares about. What is a fast lane? No one even knows. These have been the best cards. It was great from the first match to the last. It was amazing. And
What are some big highlights, man?
okay. So
I love the
spoiler.
enthusiasm, by the way.
Spoiler, Shubits.
Text in the
I read the results.
lane.
I know the outcomes of all the matches. I read the
So
results.
Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, they win the tag team titles.
New tag team champions in WWE, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, defeating the Judgment Day, are now your new tag team champions.
So I got the results for this match only before I actually watched it, and I was like, oh, why would they do that? It hurts the Judgment Day. Jey Uso doesn't need another tag team title. He just left. He's supposed to be main event Uso. Why? But then after watching this match and thinking about it, now they can put Cody to SmackDown, so you can start building that feud with Roman again.
Right, because the tag team champions appear on both shows, so he can intermix.
And sometimes when you don't agree with the decision, but the match is just so good that the decisions become okay. You're like, yeah, I'm okay with it, just because it was fireworks. The match was amazing. It was a great match. The Judgment Day didn't even look bad. I loved it. And I'll tell you what, every time there's a Charlotte Flair match, I know what everyone thinks. Oh, God, Charlotte Flair. I'm so over her. She was amazing in this match. With she had a triple threat with Asuka.
She's a great wrestler, for sure. That's not the issue.
She carried this match. I thought she was amazing. It was really cool because she was so much bigger than they are, and it was cool to see that dynamic of two young little wrestlers versus this big hulking woman. I really enjoyed it. Only mistake, I wanted Jade Cargill to come and screw over Charlotte, because I want that at WrestleMania. You can go ahead and book it. Jade versus Charlotte Flair.
It's October.
Hey, book it. You know what?
We don't need to set up WrestleMania storylines in October.
Go ahead and do it now. You start it now. Why not? What else did we have?
Jade's not ready for Charlotte, though, right? She's got to work on some moves. She's not quite ready yet for Charlotte Flair.
I think Charlotte's one of those wrestlers that can carry someone like Jade.
Yeah, but I don't know if
Charlotte so much better.
I don't know if Charlotte. I mean, I don't know her, but she just strikes me as someone that is reluctant to carry someone. Like, she's not really big on making other people look good. I should ask just that haven't in her eyes earned it, if that makes sense. She's now, maybe I'm making some really kind of unfair assumptions about her, but that's the vibe I get.
Sounds very Flair of her.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
right.
The weakest match of the night was LWO versus Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. Everyone knew it was going to be the weakest, but LWO was a tag team partner short, and no one knew who it was going to be, even though everyone knew who it was. And they did a really good job about setting it up. I'm going to ruin it. It was Carlito. But he came in like at the very end of the match instead of the beginning. Right. And even though the match itself was kind of boring, the ending was so good, it made up for it.
That's awesome. It was a nice pop at the end.
Yeah, a very nice pop. And then you have John Cena and LA Knight versus the Bloodline. I mean, anytime you get John Cena in a match, and then you have LA Knight, just a megastar now. Every time he does anything, the crowd goes crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the part where he was kicking. I think it was, they were doing the yeah every time he was kicking him. That was amazing.
It was just a good card. I love these cards because, like I said before, you don't expect anything. I had a problem with SummerSlam because I expected it to be the greatest thing ever.
It was really good.
But it wasn't the greatest.
That was the one that you were plastered for. That I mean, okay, here's what I'll say.
Good point.
I'm not going to
Good
judge
point.
this. I'm not going to judge this show because I didn't see it. I do think it's if you're going to do these sort of one-off, quote unquote, filler pay-per-views. I like the idea that they're short and sweet. There's like 5 matches on the card. I think it ran at 3 hours. You know, when we watch these old ones, we watched Survivor Series 1997. How refreshing is it that Survivor Series 1997 is 2 hours and 42 minutes? Like,
Yeah.
like we're watching like 5-hour AEW paper Wrestle Dream. Like, it's like, I get it. There's a lot of great matches, and there's no bad match on that entire card. But I think it's like if I could take off my fanboy apologist hat for 1 minute and give one critique to Tony Khan and be like, dude, you got to trim these pay-per-view shows. Like,
right. But they do have a lot of pre-stuff though, like the talking, not so much on AEW, more on WWE. They have the like, hey, so what do you guys think about the upcoming matches? That goes on. It's like pregame for the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah. So I watched it after the fact. So it was, they do a little bit of cutting at the end of it, like some of the promo stuff. It was 2 hours and 43 minutes for me to watch it.
That's
not
bad.
That's not bad at all.
You could go a little longer, but I think, especially for a show like that. Now, my one thing that I heard it was a good match, but I'm not going to criticize the match. I'm going to criticize the booking decision. So Seth Rollins defeated Shinsuke Nakamura to retain his title, which is, I got to say, a little annoying because the main event of the last pay-per-view was Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, and Seth Rollins won. So now he's run twice. Like, they're not even setting up a rubber match, right? Like, it's just 2 straight Seth Rollins fights Shinsuke and wins. That's a little bit lazy. But I heard it was a great match.
It was a good match, and they've never had stock on that guy.
I just don't like that.
I'm not saying you're wrong there. I want to see what's next for it. Now, I'm starting to get a little, like, I guess, worried about the Money in the Bank situation.
Damien?
We are getting close to what they call like the WrestleMania push, like the Royal Rumble on. We're getting real close to it. And there's no way Damian Priest is going to headline a WrestleMania.
I mean, I don't know.
As a champion.
He could.
He could, but I just don't see it happening personally. Now, what I could see happening. Now, you ready? I'm ready. You ready for my theory to write this down?
Seatbelt is on.
This is just an idea. What if Gunther wins the Royal Rumble? A slobber knocker, right? Everyone's happy, and that's when he cashes in after the Royal Rumble.
Oh.
No one's done at a Royal Rumble that I know of. I could be wrong. And Gunther, it gets the belt off Gunther, and you can go be a main eventer.
So you think he's going to cash in and win the IC title?
And they've already made a precedence of it last time.
I know, but that was bad.
Right, it was bad. The whole situation was bad with Theory. But this way, you could get a belt. You could get done with the Money in the Bank, and let Gunther move on from the IC title.
I mean, I think Gunther's just got to drop that IC title to somebody. I feel like, so the next pay-per-view that WWE has is Crown Jewel. It's one of their Saudi Arabia ones. It's a big one. It's a really big pay-per-view. And then their one after that is Survivor Series. So they've got 2 big pay-per-views. I feel like a lot of ducks are going to get put in a row in the next 2 months to get into that season. But we'll see. Another interesting idea. Actually, I don't want to spoil that. Let's hold that thought because we got that in the news. Sorry. Okay, well, I'm glad Fastlane sounded good. I'm sorry I missed it. I'd like to watch it, but let's face it. By the time this is recorded, there'll be literally hours of more wrestling that has been produced that I have to watch.
Well, actually, I have a quick question about Seth Rollins. What do you guys think? Do they not know what to do with Seth Rollins at this point?
I think they don't know what to do with that title at this point. And so that's what it feels like to me. Or they know what they want to do with it, but they don't want to do it yet, so they're stalling. So like they did this Shinsuke program, and in my opinion, like yes, if you're gonna do some filler, I like a nice little program with somebody like Shinsuke Nakamura. Like he's a guy that like probably shouldn't be the champion, but he's good enough to get a program and a title shot. And they actually did really good work with it, I thought. But to do 2 in a row and nothing changes, to me, that's stalling. That's where my critique comes in. He could have had another program with someone else at Fastlane, right? Like he could have been like, I want to give the opportunity to, anyone. It could have been like he already wrestled Finn. Damien's got the Money in the Bank, so it's gonna be Finn, but maybe he could Dominic, right? Like he could have wrestled Dominic. People would have loved that, Seth versus Dominic, and everyone would have known Seth's gonna win. But like they're obviously stalling changes for that belt right now. So why does it have to be the same guy 2 times in a row?
And I think the matches are fine, but for some reason, it's not. There's no lightning in the bottle with them two together.
No, I mean, I think that is the larger problem. Is that there's going to be times when you in this world of WWE with 2 main titles, there's going to be times where one of them is more prominent because the match is more interesting. But we're in this weird world where Roman Reigns takes off literal months at a time. So poor Seth is left holding the bag, right? Like he's got to main event all these filler pay-per-views because Roman can't be bothered, which is really unfortunate.
Now, I did forget to mention 2 things about Fastlane. I do have one complaint and one more praise. Pat McAfee was there. Amazing. I love Pat McAfee.
Yeah, he's great.
My one complaint, and if you do watch it, you'll see this. So they were doing promotion for the Indy 500, and every time they did an instant replay, it would be like vroom, like the cars running by. It was so annoying after the 4th time, and it kept going and going and going, and I was so annoyed by that.
You know what would have made that better though? If they put the belt on Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39.
Yes,
Man,
there it is.
There's so many different places you could
really
have put that.
I didn't really see a good spot, so I needed to get out of the way before we
There
start
it is.
talking about
Yes,
Survivor
we're
Series.
8:33 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There it is. It's noted. Yes.
Well, they put the tag team title on them. That's something.
It is an interesting choice to put on the. I don't know how I feel about it, but I feel like it's fine if they do a good job with it. And you'd know better than me, but from what I read, it sounds like that match also served a lot to further the Judgment Day breaking up storyline. Which, if it does that, that's fine.
Yeah, it seems like that's where they're going.
So that's fine. I'm cool with that.
Grudge in chat is saying it's setting up Drew versus Rollins.
So that's the one thing I wanted to talk about. It is interesting that they I don't know when that became official. Was it today? I saw that across my headlines, but the main event for Crown Jewel is going to be Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. Well, at least for that title. I think Roman Reigns is going to defend his title at Crown Jewel.
Roman will, because it's
probably against LA Knight, right?
They give a lot of money for whoever they want there.
Yeah. Okay, that must have just crossed my feed if that just happened tonight. And I want to give praise to WWE for doing that, because I love it when give this stuff a long setup. And especially a guy like Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, they're going to have a banger match, and they don't really have a lot of heat against each other right now. But now that that's the match, we can build up to it. And we've seen this storyline of Drew McIntyre is more recently kind of willing to be a little bit more underhanded. So now he can really pull out the stops in the lead up to his match. And I think it'd be great if he won the title, frankly, because let's face it, Seth's run has been fun, but it's starting to get stale. It's the right time to drop the belt.
Yeah. It feels like that to me a little bit. That's why I was asking. Do they know what to do with him? It's starting to feel
it's
like
fair.
a little.
I think it's that point right now where the time is right to drop the belt. Shinsuke probably wasn't the right guy. Drew feels like the right guy to drop the belt to. There's a lot of fun things that could happen with that.
Right, and they are sprinkling this whole back injury stuff, so he has an out. If when he does lose, hey, it's my back. It helps. It helps sales. Hey,
come on.
I know this was WWE's weekend, but I also want to just give a quick shout out to AEW. They had their 4th anniversary show last week. I got to say, I said this last week, you weren't here, Koltrane. Ever since London, All in London, AEW has been absolutely effing popping off from a storytelling perspective in a way that I haven't seen them do in over a year. Everything is firing on cylinders. You want to talk about setting up your next match? AEW has already given us the main event for Full Gear, which isn't until November 18th. So they're doing a well over a month build for a main event, which MJF will defend the AEW championship against Switchblade Jay White. I think it's going to be really awesome. And they're doing
amazing.
The storylines are great. Really interesting title change. If you guys didn't hear on Collision last night, there are new tag team champions in WWE. There are also new tag team champions in AEW. FTR dropped the belts to Ricky Starks and Big Bill are your new tag team champions of AEW.
What? Wow. Outrageous.
It's kind of a crazy call. It's kind of a crazy Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso kind of a call, isn't it?
It is very similar. Yes.
So the scuttlebutt is that Cash Wheeler, one of the members of FTR, injured himself at the last paper at Wrestle Dream. And I believe it after seeing that match.
Was it with the gun?
With the gun.
I seem to recall 3 episodes ago, maybe 4, I mentioned that Big Bill would be champion. I think I seem to remember predicting that.
I think we were talking about world champion.
Ah, that's right. Okay. Well, just champion.
This is on his ascent. Anyways, the scuttlebutt is that the titles had to be dropped, which does happen sometimes, and that they decided that this would be the best place to put it. I think it's well deserved. I think that even though it's kind of odd that the tag team belts fall to Ricky Starks and Big Bill, Ricky deserves some gold around his waist for sure, and I'm happy to see Big Bill get some too. Probably going to be a short reign. There's a lot of really amazing tag teams sort of bubbling up in AEW right now, but I think it'll be fun. And I do think that FTR's tag team run was getting stale. So it was whether they wanted to or not, I think it's good that those belts are off them, frankly.
How long did they have it? They had it for a long time.
Since around March. It was a pretty long run for a tag. For a tag team belt, I think. Yeah.
Well deserved. They're incredible wrestlers.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about it. We talked about it last week, but Colt, Wrestle Dream.
Right.
I called it the best pay-per-view I've ever seen in my life. We are now over a week removed, and I think it is the best pay-per-view I've ever seen in my life. Wrestle Dream.
That's amazing. You're still dreaming about it.
I'm still dreaming. It's so good that the name isn't even weird to me anymore.
Right. Exactly. That says a lot.
Right? I'll bet in the early to mid 80s, everyone was like, well, what is Mania? WrestleMania? What is that? And now it's it's there, right? So
right. So you're putting Wrestle Dream on the same level in 20 years as WrestleMania.
I think Tony Khan is. If you watch it, the Wrestle Dream logo looked very WrestleMania-ish.
That's awesome.
Very clear intention there.
That's awesome.
Did they have a Pizza Hut sponsorship?
I heard there's a lot of Pizza Hut talk on Fastlane.
Man, they even bring out the box and they eat. Michael Cole eats it and then accidentally cusses on Mike on accident because he forgot to lift it up. He's like, "Oops, I'm gonna get yelled for that."
Did he burn the top of his mouth?
What?
And I kind of want to see it to see how bad it is, but I'll take blatant product placement over a product theme match anytime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least we didn't have the Pizza Hut pulverizer showdown between
right. Krusty Crush and the Pizza Bowl. Right? Oh my gosh, he's dropping the pepperoni. No! The pepperoni pulverizer was amazing. Right.
And also, again, didn't see Fastlane. So the highlight of what I saw in wrestling this week was the debut of the new repackaged timeless Toni Storm, who came out with messed up makeup. She basically plays, if you've ever seen that old movie Sunset Boulevard, the crazy lady actor, that's her. That's Toni Storm's new character. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's amazing. Anyways.
Wow.
All right, let's get going because we got a show to do here. Our news, we've already alluded to it. The big story of the week is not WWE news. It's not AEW news. It's both. WWE and AEW will go head to head on television tomorrow, as of this recording, this Tuesday. And this is the first time in probably a couple years that they've gone head to head, really. But Dynamite will air. It's being preempted for a reason, probably a sports show or something. But it's this week. It has to move to Tuesday, which is going to put it against NXT. And both companies are pulling out all the stops, and none of them are saying they want to win the ratings, but they're all acting like they really want to win the ratings.
Yes, of course they do.
So let's talk about WWE first. So they've announced as of today that the first 30 minutes of NXT will be commercial free tomorrow night. And they've absolutely stacked their developmental show with main roster stars. John Cena will be wrestling on NXT. That's insane. Asuka will be wrestling. Cody Rhodes will be there to make a quote unquote, all caps, big announcement. You don't want to miss it. So
of course.
don't be a fool. You have to see what Cody Rhodes of Monday Night Raw says on NXT. Okay.
Yes, it's going to be amazing. Right. Please tune in.
Now, AEW, to be in fairness, like let's say, AEW is the one that is moving off of their regular time slot and to a time slot that belongs to someone else. So they definitely have the uphill battle here, even though the two shows arguably on average have similar ratings over the last few weeks. So AEW is calling it Title Tuesday, and they are advertising that the show will air for an extra 10 minutes than it normally runs. They are putting in matches that I would consider of a pay-per-view level. Here's the card of the announced matches for Dynamite tomorrow. Normally they don't announce this many matches, but this is a little different. So we've got Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge, will make his AEW wrestling debut against Luchasaurus. Saraya will defend the women's title against Hikaru Shida. Ray Phoenix and Jon Moxley will have a rematch for the international title. You'll recall that a couple weeks ago, Moxley had to, on the spur of the moment, change the outcome of the match and lose the title to Ray Phoenix because he got a concussion. Powerhouse Hobbs, now of the Don Callis family, will wrestle Chris Jericho. Jay White will wrestle Hangman Adam Page. And Swerve Strickland will wrestle Bryan Danielson. These are pay-per-view level matches.
This is huge.
I know.
Hold up.
Huge.
Those are great matches.
But Cody Rhodes has an announcement.
But he has an announcement.
This is how I know you didn't watch Fastlane, because they do their advertisement.
Yeah.
Then it went black, and you hear the doom from the Undertaker's music. The Undertaker is going to be on NXT.
They're going to put The Undertaker on NXT.
Oh, come on. Jeez. Along with Hulk Hogan and The Rock and everybody.
Yeah,
right.
Hey,
whatever it takes.
Yeah.
We talked about this. You weren't here last week, Koltrane.
You're right.
We both decided Undertaker's the GOAT. And this is your chance to see him. We both decided, without a doubt, it's Undertaker.
I have nothing but respect for Undertaker, but he did not make my Mount Rushmore.
And yes, he did it because he was on top of it. She was bowing down to him, and this is your chance to see the greatest of all time.
You're so full of crap you can't even focus.
Yes, you cannot even focus the camera.
The camera didn't even like that. But yes, the Undertaker's going to be there. And do you know what Cody Rhodes' announcement is going to be? I do.
What is it?
I really don't know. My guess is the titles are going to be put to one.
I think that, this is what I think, that they're going to merge the tag team titles. Maybe that's a good time to do it tomorrow.
This is unbelievable, by the way. Just, okay, for those of you who are WWE and saying WWE doesn't care about AEW, they could care less. They're such a B-level league. Look what they're doing. To try to, like, Undertaker, John Cena, Cody Rhodes making an announcement. They're doing all of this to fight for one night against AEW.
And I don't know if you know the history of these two shows, Koltrane, but back in the day when AEW got Dynamite, Vince McMahon said, we're going to put NXT on Wednesdays, and we're going to crush them.
Hmm.
We're going to go head to head.
Right.
And Dynamite crushed NXT, and they had to, with their tail between their legs, move the show to Tuesday.
Wow.
But since then, AEW's ratings have gone down, and NXT's ratings have gone up. So it's a real head-to-head match.
Mm.
And it is one
Right.
of those things that the deck is kind of stacked in WWE's favor, because if they lose, they can still say, well, it's a developmental show, you know. But if they win, they can be like, we beat you, right?
Right. It took The Undertaker, John Cena, and
Right.
Cody Rhodes making an announcement, but we beat you.
Hey,
Right.
so I agree, but I think if they would have went to Monday or Friday, they wouldn't care so much. It's that it's on NXT's night, which is like their feeder program, the one that AEW already slapped around, right?
Right.
This is WWE's chance to get the win back.
Is this a one-time thing for Dynamite?
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
just this week.
Yeah,
So
just
they're going back to Wednesdays after this, just for
because
tonight.
of other programming reasons, they can't do the show on Wednesday this week.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean,
So-
because Amazing Race just returned
Right.
to CBS
please.
along with Big Brother
Yeah.
Survivor, don't forget
and Survivor. So, like, I get it. Like, you can't go up head to head with
Yeah.
Julie Chen Moonves. Like, I get it. I get it. We
And-
can all agree on that.
Yes.
By the way,
So
sorry, go ahead.
and remember to put hashtag Brandon on Survivor or
That's right.
Texas Crazy Horse. Don't tell my real name. They don't know
That's
who
true.
that is.
No.
By the way, I don't think I called it out last week, but the best announcer commenter line that I've heard this year was Nigel McGuinness on Wrestle Dream, who was talking up Christian Cage because he's like the heel commentator, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was like Excalibur or something said like the turtlenecks are ridiculous. He's wrestling in a turtleneck, right? And then Nigel McGuinness says, Christian Cage has done more for the turtleneck than Britney Spears has done for the visible thong.
Oh, what? Oh, my gosh. That's insane. Wow.
So good.
And apparently Ginsu knives with Britney Spears. I don't know if you've seen the knife thing
No, is
she's
she
been
doing
doing lately.
Ginsu now?
Yeah, she's doing Ginsu
Oh,
knives.
great. That's perfect.
It's outrageous. Just Google Britney Spears knives. It'll
Ginsu.
blow your mind. Yeah.
All
The
right.
bad thing is I've seen that.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right. Other news before we get to our main topic tonight. WWE news. Hey, it ain't an episode of Wrestling is for Losers without a little CM Punk talk.
Yeah.
Now we know that there's been rumors of CM Punk coming to WWE since basically the day he got fired from AEW. But Dave Meltzer has confirmed that CM Punk is in talks with WWE to return. He reports no deal yet, but Punk wants to return, and WWE is willing to talk to him. And it should be noted that Survivor Series 2023 takes place in Chicago this year. So if you're going to do it, there's a heck of an opportunity there. Now, here's what I'll say. Dave Meltzer is a divisive figure in the wrestling reporting world, but he's often divisive for how much he poo-poos on CM Punk. So if he's reporting this, it feels like it's probably legit.
Yeah, I believe it, but I don't see it happening that early.
I didn't think Edge was going to go to AEW for like a half a year, and he showed up the next night.
I mean, it's true, but now I'm not a lawyer. Believe it or not, I did not become one. But I figured he's trying to get money from AEW still. They're probably trying to make sure they get their money from him. So there's a whole bunch of lawyers probably still involved. I have a feeling, and I don't know. I just don't know if he's able to compete yet. That early, November 25th.
I don't know. From what I've read, he has no interest in taking legal action against AEW. He just wants to move on. That's what.
And if he
people are
was
saying.
fired, I mean that ends the contract right there.
Well, he was fired for cause, so he could sue
Right.
and say that it was not just, that in fact I should not have been fired for cause. But it does seem like, I know a lot of people think that he's going to do that, but like he committed a crime, and that would come,
Right.
like that would come out in testimony that he committed a crime if he went to court. Like this is like now I am a lawyer. I'm not a practicing lawyer, and I don't pretend to be a good lawyer.
You're a Canadian
All
lawyer.
right. But I will say this, in general, if you're going to sue somebody and the testimony is going to incriminate you,
Yes.
you probably shouldn't sue somebody.
Right. Right. Because exhibit A is the destruction of you. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is a good point.
Oh. Guys, CM Punk. Okay, so this guy. Okay, so in the vehicle of life, all right, in the vehicle of life, CM Punk, do we put him as the driver? No. Do you put him as the passenger? No. In the vehicle of life, I put CM Punk in the CM trunk.
Oh,
Because I'm tired of this guy and all this BS, and now he's going to WWE and all, and everyone's like, oh, blah, 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 and all this stuff. I'm sorry, I was a big fan of his when he first started.
I know,
but
it's
all
it's
this
a bit
drama
much,
was
isn't
happening. It is. This guy just drama follows him, and I'm sorry, he's the cause. He's the catalyst of it.
I can't say for sure, but it is really interesting how amazingly on track AEW's building and storytelling has been since he's left the company.
Right.
It's something it's kind of remarkable. It feels like a switch, like it's just
something was in the way.
Yeah.
Something that was desperate for attention and all this stuff. I don't know.
I for one look forward to CM Punk going to WWE and making a mess there and truly causing the storm there that he did. Now it'll be interesting to see how WWE handles it, right? Because I think invariably he can only be there for so long before there's trouble. It's just not going to happen. Seth Rollins has already openly said recently that he despises the guy and hopes he never comes back to WWE. So CM Punk's not going to let that lie. He's not going to shake hands on that. That's not who CM Punk is.
Right.
So it'll be fun.
So I guess it's good. More drama, right? For us, doing these shows, fantastic. More drama. All right, Tex, what do you got?
So your car analogy. CM Punk's the car or the sports car that you shouldn't drive, but it's so good looking you have to get in and drive it.
Oh, no. Yeah, but it gets 1 mile to the gallon.
Yeah. But you don't care because you're enjoying that 1 mile. Now
you're going the engine, you're out of gas.
You're going to crash that car.
Right.
But you enjoy it.
Right.
Enjoy it.
Right. I see what you're saying.
CM Punk is Russian roulette for $1 million. Yeah. That's what CM Punk is.
I think the best scenario for him, if he came back, he has to be one of these guys who shows up for 3 months and you don't see him again for 9. And he just shows up every once in a while like a Brock.
I could see him doing something like that.
He's like that movie Indecent Proposal, $1 million for one night with CM Punk, or whatever that movie was.
So whenever the drama starts, you pull him out, and you just put him away for a few months.
All right.
But
I get it. Everyone loves CM Punk. I get it. And I get it first.
But I gotta say, by the end of in the last year, I think he really burned a lot of his credibility with the average fan. I don't think he's nearly as big as he was a year ago.
I disagree.
Not Tex. Tex loves him.
I think that put Kurt Angle on his Mount Rushmore.
Ooh, did he really?
Cole, you don't even know how good of a pick that was.
Ooh, Kurt Angle. Ooh, that's got some. Who farted?
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton farted.
Hey, this was the first pay-per-view I did not pick Randy Orton to come back.
That's true. That's true.
I'm growing as a person. You see that?
By the way, did you read about how the saddest thing that they fired Riddle? You know how they fired Riddle?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear it leaked because they were building him to be a tag team with Drew McIntyre? Did you hear what the tag team was going to be called?
No.
McRiddle.
That's pretty good, actually.
Gosh.
That's
I
hilarious.
saw that. Is that real? That can't be real.
I don't know. It could be fake, but
It's pretty good though.
It's
It's pretty solid. I'll have the McRiddle. That's pretty solid. I think it's served with some haggis and something. That's insane.
Before we talk about the McRiddle, my point with CM Punk is, even though he's only fought 5 times since he's been back, maybe 10 times, he's still the number one thing everyone talks about, and he's going to be.
No,
he's
he'll
the
be big.
biggest star.
He'll be
That's
big,
true.
and it'll be huge. And
That's true. We're talking about him again.
Yeah, it'll be
And
huge.
we'll
But-
probably be talking about him every week for the next year.
All right, well, let's round out before we get to our topic today. Let's round out a couple more interesting debuts / returns. It was mentioned in the chat earlier. Jade Cargill made her WWE debut at Fastlane. She was not wrestling, but there's a quick shot of her getting out of vehicle, meeting with Triple H. She's in full gear. She looks effing amazing. Like she could destroy. Like she looks like she could pick up like a Ford F-150 and throw it. It's just like insane. And so there she is. We did get that confirms that she is going to be Jade Cargill. Like we know that they're not going to repackage her, which is great.
So I had a problem with this.
Oh.
So she rolls up in a car. She gets out in her full uniform, but she never comes out and wrestles, right? Why are you dressed like that? Why don't you just come out looking in a dress or suit? Why'd you just come out?
It is odd that she casually got out of a car in her wrestling gear.
Yeah.
And well, that's how she rolls, dude. She had CM Punk in the CM trunk.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's how she drove up.
And she doesn't have a 6-pack. She has like 20-pack. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, she's jacked. She is jacked.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. Now, how was the audience reception? Were there cheers?
Yeah, it was cheers.
That's awesome. That's good. That's good.
I
think she's going to do really well over there.
I
think
do
it's
too.
gonna be a
I
great spot for her.
I think she made the right move for herself. I think she will get pushed to the moon there. And again, it was interesting. Like they did not say where she's going. And Triple H was asked about her. I was reading in the press conference after, and he said like, we want to push her to the moon, but we want to make sure she's ready. The way he talked almost seems like she's going to go to NXT. Like everyone's talking.
Oh boy.
He's like saying he's going to be patient. Yeah, maybe tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. On Tuesday night, right? Next to the big announcement from Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
He's Louise. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. They're going to
anything they can do to beat AEW. This little B team that they claim they don't care about.
Yeah,
we sure seem to care about.
We're bringing the Undertaker out of retirement, but
exactly. But we can care. We're not worried about AEW.
We're gonna dig up Bruno Sammartino. But
yes, exactly. We've got a hologram of Andre the Giant who will be making a wrestling debut. Like what? This is insane.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if by this time tomorrow they've announced Hulk Hogan is wrestling Sting. Well, not Sting, he's with AEW, but
exactly. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant hologram match. It's going to be unbelievable.
Now, you telling me you wouldn't watch it?
I would watch that. I would tune in for that. You're exactly. I would watch that.
Especially when he tries to lift the hologram, like for the body slam.
Exactly. That'd be amazing. I would totally watch that.
One more return, maybe a little obscure if you don't know what good wrestling is, but Danhausen is finally returning to AEW.
Woo!
Love that, Danhausen. Koltrane has no idea who Danhausen is.
I have no idea. I'm just trying to be supportive.
He's been off on injury since I think January. He tore his pectoral, and so he's been off for a long time. But they did air a teaser that he's coming back. Very nice, very evil, Danhausen. I don't know how to explain Danhausen to Koltrane, and it's maybe beyond the scope of this episode, but I think when he does finally return, we might have a little talk about him. Let's just say this is a guy that has been known to bring a jar of teeth down to the ring.
What?
And at one point during the match, pour the jar of teeth into his opponent's mouth and then punch his opponent in the face so that he spits the teeth out everywhere.
What? Hey,
And
sounds
see-
like a great guy. All right. Is he like an evil dentist? Like, is that his character?
he wears like weird face, almost like mime makeup, and he talks like this. He talks like an impression of Andy Kaufman, and
What?
and he's like very nice, very evil, and he it's wild.
You sure this isn't like from the 80s? Like,
Dude,
are you
he's
sure this is
really
now?
he's this super weird indie wrestler that essentially got so famous on YouTube that AEW hired him, and everyone loves him.
Gosh.
Do you see
Wow.
what AEW's doing? Colt.
Well, it sounds like they're going to have a molar match. This is unbelievable. Jeez. He's going to drop the incisor.
So great. Dan, I love Danhausen. I love his YouTube content. He's so funny. So and
This
I love
sounds
when
insane.
I love on his YouTube channel when he tries to bug MJF and MJF hates him. It's so good. All right. So the three big stars, the three big comebacks of the year, we've got CM Punk, Jade Cargill, and Danhausen coming back to wrestling.
Insane.
All
Still
right.
no Randy Orton.
Still no Randy Orton.
We're getting there one day.
Yeah. We're gonna have Randy Orton versus Danhausen in a molar match.
A molar match. Exactly.
Dude, if AEW gets Randy, I would
they
lose
won't
my
get
mind.
Randy. Come on.
they wouldn't get Edge.
I know. I think that the case for Edge has always been there. But
It's
Koltrane, by the way, I don't know if you knew, Edge showed up at Wrestle Dream. He's all elite.
Yes. Yes.
But he's Adam Copeland now.
Yes. He's the rated R superstar.
The rated R superstar.
Great name, by the way. Love that name. Great
Yeah.
name.
All right. This week's topic. Now, this is going to be a multiple week program. We are talking about something that we have promised Koltrane we would talk about from the beginning. And I think all three of us have been looking very forward to talking about this. And I decided, you know what? It's finally time because Survivor Series is right around the corner. And the Montreal Screwjob was at Survivor Series. So I think this is a good time. Folks, we're going to dig into the Montreal Screwjob. For those of you that don't know, just real quick, if you haven't seen Survivor Series 1997 and want to watch it before we talk about it, you can pause this now and go watch it. It's on WWE Network, Peacock, whatever you watch. It's the moment that is arguably the beginning of the Attitude Era. I would argue that it's the beginning of the Attitude Era. This is the moment that Vince McMahon screwed over Bret Hart, told him that he was going to win the match, and then orchestrated a scenario where he lost the match to his own surprise. And we're going to get into it. But before we get too deep into it, there is another piece to this that I just want to touch on a little bit, and that is not necessarily the card, but the event itself. Survivor Series 1997. You know, we watched SummerSlam 92 not that long ago, and it was really kind of interesting and nostalgic to see. Koltrane, I'm assuming that this is from an era that you know nothing about, 1997 WWF.
No, I know nothing about.
Now, yeah, what were your overall impressions of this event as a whole?
Well, it was neat seeing some old names in there, right? Who are, who are older now, because I watched it in the 80s, right? This is now 97.
Yeah.
There were some young guys in there, like Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? Who I've never really seen wrestle at all, right? He's a young guy. There was another guy in there, went by the name of Rocky Maivia.
Rocky Maivia.
Maivia. Yeah, Rocky Maivia. And the audience was actually chanting, "Rocky sucks, Rocky sucks." And he looked a little familiar.
He did.
He looked a little familiar.
Yeah.
To me, seeing The Rock, not The Rock.
He's not The Rock yet. He will
He's
become
not
The
The
Rock.
Rock?
He'll become The Rock very soon after that, but he's not The Rock yet.
No kidding. And in fact, he even did the People's Elbow
Yeah, but it wasn't
in that match.
But
And
I
it
don't-
did nothing to the opponent.
Yeah, and it wasn't really. I don't think it was even known as the People's Elbow yet, because he
Right.
only once he declares himself to be The Rock that he declares himself to be the People's Champ.
Yep.
Oh, wow. So this was just like a Rocky Maivia elbow,
Yeah,
like a Maivia. But it was hilarious because he did the move. He pulled off the thing. He like did the left, right. He did the slap, the bam. The crowd didn't even react. They're like, okay, I don't know what he's doing.
yeah.
No, I don't know what he's up to, right? And then the opponent just like, oh, and then just got right back up, like no big deal. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like this was before it was the People's Elbow. This was before The Rock was The Rock. This
Yeah.
is before he became the People's Champion, and everyone hated him. They were chanting, "Rocky sucks."
So let's give you just a really quick overview of The Rock's career up to this point.
Yes.
Rocky Maivia was the very first third-generation WWF wrestler. He named himself a tribute to his grandfather, High Chief Peter Maivia, and his father, Rocky Johnson. So he chose the name Rocky Maivia as a tribute to his father and his grandfather. He was originally packaged to be a total 80s level babyface. And he came out in blue trunks and he was like, and people hated him. And they chanted Rocky sucks, even though he was supposed to be the next Hulk Hogan, like a babyface. And but at the point of 1997 Survivor Series, they have basically embraced the audience's decision that he sucks and made him a total heel. And he has joined the Nation of Domination.
Yes. Right. Got you. So he was a full-blown heel. The audience is chanting Rocky sucks.
Full-blown babyface, and the audience is chanting he sucks.
Yes, yeah, at the beginning. Yes. But at this point, when we watched it in this 97 Survivor Series, he had turned heel at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's in this heel faction that he's
Amazing.
like, I don't know how well it shows off in this one event, but he's clearly a major standout in this faction. Like, he's not long for this faction. He's going to be propelled to a singles stardom very quickly after this.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was really awesome. Like just seeing the beginning, also seeing the end of some guys. One thing that was also, this is just a random thing, is they're like, we've got Stone Cold Steve Austin taking messages in our officially sponsored AOL chat room.
Yeah, he's sitting there like instant messaging.
Instant messaging on AOL. Like he's sitting there talking to you, you've got mail. You've got mail. You know, and he's like, oh, what is this? You know, and this is, you know, what's an emoji? Like, you know, this is all before all that stuff. So I was about to ask what his ICQ number was. You know, it's unbelievable.
And those,
I mean,
laptops, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was just hilarious. Like sponsored by American Online, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
and
oh my gosh.
Who's like, you know, it would be really great if Stone Cold Steve Austin's sitting there on America Online. Like his character would be throwing chairs at those laptops. Like it doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, he's like, people asking me about my neck. My neck's fine. My neck's fine. You know, he's getting all worked up.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, pudding, little chat messages.
Typing with two fingers.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I had a quick question. Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
Ever heard of him?
Well, is that Scissor Me Daddy? Is that the
That
same
is
guy?
Scissor Me Daddy, yes.
It is him. That's him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on.
Did
I may
you
have just dropped my
see?
headphones or lost all sound. We talked
Okay.
about this earlier, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
that's okay. We
unbelievable.
can carry the show till he gets back.
Did you notice Fat Omega?
There we go. Okay, sorry about that.
Did you say Fat Omega?
Yes. If you go back and you look up Henry Godwin, it literally looks like Omega.
It's not Kenny
But-
Omega.
Dude, I know it's not, but look at his face, and I swear it's Kenny Omega.
Oh my god, it's not Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega's
Google it.
Did he take a screwdriver to the face?
Oh, by
I
the
mean,
way,
that's a clear indicator that it's Kenny Omega.
did you hear that Kenny Omega won this week?
No.
By
He won a Street
screwdriver?
Fighter 6 charity tournament. It's
Some
true.
of these names. Jeez
Street
Louise.
Fighter 6. What is he, the new two-time? What are you talking about? Kenny Omega?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So before I lost my headphones, so Billy Gunn, that is the Scissor Me Daddy. That's
Yeah.
the
Yes, it
same
is.
guy.
Same guy. You're seeing
Oh.
the very early. I mean, he's just
Racist beginnings of
I mean, I gotta say, man, I mean, it's both. It's kind of shocking, and to see how much homophobia was
Right,
in this
yes.
show. Like the signage,
The
just
signage.
like open signs of just like
Right.
like F
Yeah.
words that don't end in uck, like just
Yeah,
like all over people, and they're just showing it. Like, yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, they're like slow pan back from the side, like, whoa.
And they're chanting it at one point at Billy Gunn, and
Right.
yeah, it's just
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Yeah, I was like, oh, times have changed.
yeah. I
I
suppose the positive spin is like, isn't it nice that we've come this far that it's shocking to see that? But
right,
like,
exactly. That's true. That's a very good point. That is so like, whoa,
Yeah.
holy cow. Another quick thing too is, so you guys have been talking to me about this little guy, this tiny little wrestler named Kane, right?
Yeah,
This little guy, right? This little guy, and this is really the first time that I personally have seen Kane like wrestle, and
Yeah.
like this guy is a unit. This is the biggest dude I have ever seen.
yeah,
Now, here's my question. So the match was Kane versus Mankind,
yeah,
Yes.
which was unbelievable. By the way.
Mankind. Any match that Mankind's in will steal the show.
Yes.
Right. And is it just because Mankind, what he goes through, is that why it steals the show?
Yeah, he's
Yes.
willing to subject himself to any amount of punishment to make the show better.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
What he was, I mean, he's getting thrown through tables, he's getting thrown on the concrete.
In fact,
I mean, this is unbelievable.
yeah, I
He
apologize.
even jammed his finger down Paul Barrow's mouth.
Yeah, the
Like,
the
he
mandible
was
claw.
Yeah, he was tickling his tonsils. I couldn't believe that.
Wait,
But here's the
yeah.
thing about Kane, though, is that here's my question. So I know The Undertaker, right? Obviously,
Right.
Undertaker's massive,
Yeah,
The greatest of all time.
the greatest of all time, right? The Mount Rushmore is on the Adam's apple of The Undertaker,
Yes,
right? Because
yes.
he's above the wrestling Mount
Right.
Rushmore, right?
NXT vet.
Really? Okay.
Well, he will be this week.
Well, so here's my question. Oh, exactly. That's right. Exactly. Tuesday night. Stay tuned.
Oh yeah, and we didn't even mention that Becky Lynch is the NXT Women's Champion right now, so she'll
Oh,
probably
yeah.
be there too. But anyway,
Right. So here's my question. Kane is the biggest dude and the scariest dude I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever. All right. Why isn't Kane as popular as The Undertaker? Because he looks bigger than The Undertaker.
he is bigger than the Undertaker.
Why isn't
I mean,
why is
he
The
had a-
Undertaker such a well-known person? And Kane, I've like heard about Kane and I've kind of seen him here and there, but like this guy, he was like a god. Like he was like, I couldn't get over the size of this dude.
So Kane had a very long and successful run in the WWE. He was around
Hall
for a
of
very
Fame.
long time. I would say he is a massive name. The thing that sort of probably held him back in terms of like comparing to the Undertaker would be that like for the first half of his career, he didn't talk.
Mm.
So there's only
See-
so much he could do.
I disagree with that because Undertaker went his whole career and he didn't talk.
Yeah, true.
Now, but he talks
Um,
sometimes.
He shouldn't. Just says rest in peace and roll his eyes. That's all we need. I think his problem is Undertaker was always like the final boss. He's always been that guy.
Yeah.
And Kane was always kind of used as a stepping stone for these baby faces
Mm.
a lot of times. He's still one of the best, if not in the top 5 big men of all time. He's up there, and he's had some great stories. This match with Mankind actually is his first match, as a first official match as Kane.
Because
You're kidding.
they're building up to his eventual confrontation with Undertaker,
Undertaker, yeah.
which happens
Which-
at the next WrestleMania a
Which-
few months later.
I believe this whole storyline that we just got a glimpse of it is one of the greatest, if not the greatest storyline in wrestling, with the Kane and Undertaker.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's one of the reasons why I think I still stand by WrestleMania 14 might be the best WrestleMania.
Now, they did do one thing, which I'm so glad they stopped doing, was the red light the whole time.
Oh yeah, he wrestled in red light. That was weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
Mm.
It was kind of hard to see a little bit.
But like the thing when he does this and the flames shoot out of
Oh,
all
so
four ring
good.
posts.
So good.
Unbelievable. And this guy's so tall, he's stepping over the top rope.
Yeah.
And the strength on this guy, because Mankind, he's not a he's
ain't
a pretty
light.
big boy.
Yeah.
No.
He ain't
You know what I
light.
mean? It's not like lifting, 100 pounds. This is a big boy here.
Yeah.
Did you
And
watch
he
the
lifting him with one
promo?
hand and throwing him?
Did you watch the promo before the match where they're talking about when he first showed up and grabbed the Hell in a Cell cage and just rips it off? Oh,
Insane. Well, and that's the thing that blew my mind was I see this guy Kane. It's a name I've always known. I know this is the Undertaker's brother. This is the biggest dude I've ever seen who's incredibly strong. And he's got that like the head twitch and then he pops up. Like he's got the moves. Like he's got the scary, like he's very agile for being a big dude. He's got the strength. And I think he's way bigger than Undertaker. But for me, I know and love the Undertaker, like the Undertaker. Yeah. But Kane seemed like the same, but just why? But I guess you're right. You're saying that he was popular. I just didn't know why he didn't overcome the Undertaker and why he didn't become, because he just was so huge. I was floored by Kane.
Yeah, I think Kane was always a guy, much to Tex's point. I would agree with what you said, Tex. Like they always did a really good job of making him a stepping stone, that he was a big challenge. Paul White's another guy like this, that these guys that like, I would imagine that at some point Kane was world champion. I wouldn't have been watching at that point, but I'm sure he had the belt at some point. So
he did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this lead up to the Undertaker Kane match, and that was a good match. That was a great lead up.
Oh, so good.
It was a good
that
match.
Must have been insane. Those two big dudes, like two big guys.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go. We don't have to go too far into it, but the Undertaker for like months or whatever would refuse to do anything with Kane. So I won't hit my brother.
I won't fight my brother.
Yeah.
And it's slowly. I think it was almost a whole year. It was just slowly building to it, and then Undertaker finally snaps.
Really?
Yeah.
And then they engage?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I know we're talking about Montreal Screwjob, so I didn't want to derail it.
No, I think it's great
too much with Kane, but I was just as a first-time viewer, I just could not get over the size of this dude, and what he put Mankind through, and that Mankind kept getting back up.
I know, dude.
Yeah.
This
Unbelievable.
guy, Mankind's like the unsung hero of the Attitude Era, and I highly recommend his autobiography. It's called "Have a Nice Day" by Mick Foley. Very good. It's basically him recounting his entire career up to the day that he won the WWF title.
Yep.
So,
Jim Cornette blames him for AEW.
Blames him for AEW.
Yeah. It's because all that garbage wrestling.
Oh boy, he's awesome. He's awesome.
I love it.
And it was also just a great match. And quite frankly, like I don't know how you guys felt, but I thought like the bulk of this show kind of sucked. Like the Survivor Series elimination format. Thank God they don't do this anymore. Like it's just not good.
I was wondering that because you were saying Survivor Series was coming up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wasn't a big fan of this.
So last year, and they've said they're going to do it again this year, they've done what they call the War Games match. That's going to be the new marquee match of Survivor Series, which is essentially the blood and guts match of AEW. It's a caged match with 2 rings.
Wow.
So which I think is a way, if you're going to have a stipulation match that is like the cornerstone of this annual event, that is a way better choice than these 4 versus 4 elimination matches. Because, oh my God, did it feel forced? Like, did it not feel? Every single one of them felt like, well, we got to make these 4-on-4 matches. I guess we'll just throw badass Billy Gunn and Road Dogg Jesse James together with these 2 guys in overalls, and we'll just like.
Right.
I was so confused with the rules too, because sometimes they would help each other. Like if the partner's getting pinned, they would jump on it. Then other times they would just be watching, like, well, he's getting pinned, and just let him get pinned.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
And then
the whole Team Canada versus Team USA, like what a hodgepodge thrown together group on both sides that was. Like British Bulldogs on Team Canada. Like I get that the guy lives in Canada, but like it's Team Canada, dude. Like he's wearing a Union Jack on his ass. Like you're gonna put like
He definitely got the biggest pop out of
He
everyone
did.
there.
Oh yeah,
He
for
did,
sure.
yeah.
But like,
Right.
And Vader's your captain.
Vader's your captain of Team America, and Steve Blackman, a supposed fan as of a week ago that did a run in, which
Was he the martial arts master or
Yeah.
whatever, the
Yes,
kung
yes.
fu master? Right.
he was kind of like a B or C list guy throughout the Attitude Era. So he was
one of
around
those
for a while.
hardcore.
yeah,
he's
he was
one
a
of
big
those
dude too,
hardcore
though. He was a
guys.
pretty big guy
Yeah.
too. His
And
arms
it's-
were
And of course,
massive.
it's always like it's never a good idea to storyline that a fan ran in and it was okay, because you just encourage other fans to run in, and it's not good.
Yeah,
So.
and speaking of fans, they didn't really control the fans as much back then. As
Dude,
far as these guys were slapping the wrestlers
These-
and hitting them.
I don't know what it is about that. Like, these people looked like it was like a Hollywood movie of trying to portray what a rowdy crowd would look like. They looked like they had no seats. They're like all just hanging over like Looney Tunes or something. It was crazy the whole
It
night.
was. And they were completely intermingled. Like they were like grabbing their hair and yanking on it. Like I was
Yeah,
like,
dude, did you see
whoa.
when Shawn Michaels is walking out and a beer just like hits him in the head? Like,
Yes,
it's just
they completely doused him in beer, and he's like, "Woo!" You know,
Yeah,
like,
he's just-
whoa. Like, where's security in this? Like, what's going on? I mean, this was 1997.
I mean,
you know,
dude,
crowd were rowdy back
and
then.
come on,
97.
French Canadians.
That's right.
Like-
Not it's Montreal,
So
right?
it's a rowdy group.
Yeah, they even had a French announcer. Like, you know,
That was
that's-
interesting. That was an interesting
I-
choice.
I thought I had the like SAP whatever on your remote, where it was like in Spanish. I was like, why does it keep doing a different
thought it was
language?
right. It's dubbing over, right?
What's going on? And you notice how they had 3 announce tables?
Yeah,
I was like, well, obviously one of these are going down.
yeah. Usually it's a Spanish announce table,
Yeah.
but it was. You know what's funny? It wasn't the Spanish announce table. It was JR and Jerry Lawler's table that got taken out. But if you looked over later in the night, JR and Jerry Lawler got to move to the Spanish announce table, and they made the Spanish announcers sit on chairs over in front of the broken table.
That's hilarious.
One of which was Tito Santana.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think he got injured or something.
Yeah, I
when
don't know.
Mankind got thrown on there, he's like, "Oh, I think Tito Santana's injured."
I'm
You know,
sure
it was
Tito
like
would be up
insane.
for it.
Right.
JR was great.
JR is great.
Oh, I love JR. He's the greatest.
Yeah, I know you've probably seen JR a bit. He's kind of that old dude that shows up on AEW for every once in a while for announcing. But that's him in his prime during
Amazing.
the Attitude Era.
Wow.
Always talking about their old high school football teams.
Yeah.
They used to play high school football in Oklahoma. Like, why do we know? Why do we care?
Why do we
Yeah.
care?
But
Yeah.
the thing that really blew my mind was the big setup. Leading up to this Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, right? And they had this great promo leading up to it. And I have to ask you guys, because you guys know they looked like they actually really hated each other in real life.
They, at least at that point in their lives, they truly hated each other.
Yes.
They
Right.
truly despised each other.
Yep.
Right.
And it is one of the cornerstone rivalries to the fan theory that real life heat makes for great in-ring matches. So like they always were amazing together. And I will say, you know, a lot of the wrestling from 25 years ago, a lot of it is great for its day, but doesn't live up to some of the stuff we see today. That match was a banger.
It was a good match.
And it was a good match. And neither of them are mega high flyers. Shawn Michaels is a bit of high flyer, but I got to tell you, man, they just sold each other's moves in ways that I think like when I watched that match, I was like, people don't sell like this. Like very rarely do people sell this good these days. They made each other look so damn good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
And-
Shawn
and-
Michaels is known for that, but like, yeah.
Well, and also the majority of the match wasn't even in the ring.
Yeah.
You know, it was in the ramps, it was in the crowd, it was in the hallways. But I think whether that was planned or not, and I'm assuming it possibly was, but it really made it feel much more guttural, much more real, much more like and even the announcers are like, this isn't a wrestling match, this is a straight up fight. You know, these are two guys going at it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's literally what it felt like. And to the point of like, I think these guys actually really hate each other and they're really, you know, going at it.
Yeah.
So I was floored by that. I was floored by. I could feel this kind of rage between these two wrestlers. Shawn Michaels, obviously, such a well-known character. I've never known him so much. I mean, talk about a heel, right?
Oh yeah, mega heel. And this is like
Wow.
this is the original, this is the dawn of D-Generation X. Like
Yes.
the very first, you didn't really see them except for walking out to the ring with him, but you might have noticed that he walked out with a very young Triple H with long, beautiful locks.
That was Triple H.
The guy with the long blonde hair.
Yes.
That's Triple H.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
And
Another Mount Rushmore.
And China, who the woman that basically was built like Rhea Ripley.
Yes. I saw another sign there. It said China is a man. That was another one.
There's a lot of those going
There
around.
was that one.
Jeez Louise.
But China,
Right.
she's unfortunately passed away, but she also had a pretty great career in the Attitude Era and actually won the Intercontinental Championship at one point.
Against who?
Chris Jericho. She beat
We
Chris.
found that out last week.
What?
Yeah,
Yep.
because it's a men's title and she wrestled for it and won. And she wrestled against Chris Jericho for it.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I just said that there was a sign that said China is a man.
No, but she's not a man. But she
Is
won a
that-
men's title. Like,
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. So this is okay. Okay. All right. All right. I'm just wondering. All right.
And then
Okay. That's awesome.
I don't know if you know who their manager was, the guy with the briefcase and the suit.
Mm.
Can you guess? He was a big heel wrestler in the 80s.
Was it no, it wasn't the $1 Million Man.
No.
That's not Ted DiBiase.
Ravishing Rick Rude.
Oh my gosh. That's who that
It's Rick
was?
Rude, yeah.
Oh, this is insane. This is a whole new thing for me, man. This is unbelievable.
Yeah. So that was the very first iteration of D-Generation X.
Got
And
you.
and like they go on, like you saw some of the humping, like
Yes.
the humping
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
Canadian flag in this case, but the suck it, you know, the
Right.
Yep.
like they just went bonkers and
Yeah. Humping the Canadian flag. I mean, he stuffed it down his shorts.
yeah, he went
I
went
couldn't
hog wild
believe-
with that thing.
He went crazy. He was doing like these crazy stripper moves, like on the
Yeah.
Canadian flag. I'm like, well, easy, Michaels, easy.
Folks, we
Jeez
want to
Louise.
apologize to Canadian fans, says JR.
Yeah, probably the most disrespect you could do to any nation's flag. Shawn Michaels did it. Literally stuffed it down his shorts and was like, "Woo!"
If you are going to
like,
disrespect a nation's flag like that, it better be Canada.
right,
because
it's the only right. It's the only way you can get away with it.
At a wrestling show. Because your
Yeah.
average Canadian's like, well, he's supposed to be a bad guy, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess that's okay.
I
He's
get-
flossing with our flag.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all
trying
right.
to perpetuate a narrative for our boy Bret Hart, right?
That's true. You can only do that with Canadians. That's
Now-
true.
Shoe Boots, you are a Chris Jericho guy. There
Yeah.
is a story where Chris Jericho does something with the flag once and has to come back out and apologize.
I think that story was not a Canadian story. I think that was somewhere else. But yeah,
I think it was somewhere else. I don't know where it was.
he
but
did something to a flag. It was like a local show. I can't remember if it was in like South America or something, but he just desecrated the local flag to try and get heat. And then when he went backstage, he was told that he was going to be arrested, and so he
Yeah.
came out and apologized. And so
Oh, there you go.
I don't know the exact details of that story, but I have heard that story.
I
No.
could not believe Shawn Michaels. Go ahead.
You could tell Shawn Michaels in real life at this point is a complete jerk because he played that so well. Just,
Yeah,
You can tell he was just being himself.
yeah.
It came pretty natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to, I don't want to give away too much of some of the content that we're going to watch in the next couple weeks, but just so you know, Colt, like Shawn Michaels has sort of openly spoke since. He's kind of wizened up as he's gotten older and openly talks about that he in his opinion, he was a real jagoff at this point in his life.
Mm.
So
Yeah. That's affirmed. I don't think there's any spoiler there. I
Yeah.
think that's pretty much confirmed. I could detect that within the first 5 minutes.
yeah.
But of seeing these two, juggernauts go at it, and
But
Bret, Go
it's
ahead.
so amazing that these two who truly despise each other so much really just magic happened between them in the ring. Like they just
Yeah.
made each other look so good right up till the very end. And
Yes.
that did not look good.
let's talk about this.
I,
all
I
right?
want you to talk about it because we know this. I want to know what you think about it.
Okay. So again, this is first time watching here. All right.
Yes.
First time watching. I don't know who's supposed to win, right? I don't know what the outcome is supposed to be or not going to be. But when Hitman Hart put Shawn Michaels in the scissor leg lock, whatever
sharpshooter.
sharpshooter.
Well, he never actually got the
yes.
sharpshooter. He got the figure 4 on him a couple times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it seemed weird that Shawn Michaels did not tap out. That felt strange. That went on for a long time. And even now, just like, he's got to tap out. I mean, he's gonna tap out, right? Like it seemed like Shawn Michaels is in such incredible pain. And he was, he looked like he was struggling, but like it just felt awkward. Like I think like I just assuming Bret's like, okay, Shawn, like tap out. Like, why is it felt to me, not knowing any of the conclusion here, that Shawn was supposed to tap out there, but Shawn Michaels decided, I'm not going to tap out. And it felt like, I think Bret Hart was supposed to win there, but Shawn Michaels decided against it. Go on.
I mean, that's interesting. I didn't get that feeling because he was doing the figure 4 and not the sharpshooter, which is his finisher.
Oh, I see. So this was a separate. So you know what I'm talking about, though. It was like really long. Like he's like, he's in the middle of the ring. He's got nowhere to go. But then he countered, which was cool.
He turned it over. Yeah. So Bret
Turned
Hart
it
had
over,
to
which
grab
was
the
great.
rope. Yeah.
Yeah, which was great. So I dug that. I was like, okay, well, maybe that was how it was supposed to be. But then at the very end, this is what blew my mind. So Shawn Michaels, he gets torn or whatever, and then it somehow gets reversed. Michaels puts Bret Hart in the scissor me or the screwdriver. Sharpshooter.
The scissor me daddy.
The scissor me daddy. And it doesn't even, Bret's like hardly struggling. It like he just puts him in it. And within 10 to 15 seconds, suddenly the ref goes, that's it.
Ring the bell.
And then they ring the bell. And then suddenly Bret flips it around and puts Shawn in like, but the bell's already rung. Like the match is over.
Yeah.
And even the announcers are like, what just happened? Like, what was that? And I didn't understand because I was like, wait a minute. Like, so clearly Bret was fine, but he put him in the move. And within 10 to 15 seconds, suddenly the ref gets up and he sounds the bell and Shawn Michaels is the champion. So gentlemen, what happened? What is going on here?
I'm going to tell you what happened, Koltrane. Someone got screwed.
Oh, no kidding. This was a screw job.
It was a screw job in Montreal.
All
right.
So what happened? What is going on?
Well,
with
let's talk
this?
about some of the other things that we know about that were happening at this point. First of all, the immediate aftermath of the match. So Bret Hart, there's close-ups if you watch. I mean, you saw it, but you might have been like processing a lot at that point. It'd be worth to go watch that last 5 minutes of the show again after this.
Mm-hmm.
But he basically, as soon as he understands, it takes him a moment to understand the match is over. But as soon as he understands it is over, he almost immediately drops character. He just stops pretending to be like hurt or anything. He just gets a blank expression on his face, and he gets up and he stands up and he looks down at Vince McMahon, who is at ringside.
Yes.
And he horks a big one and hawks a loogie right in Vince's face. And
they don't edit it.
You see the loogie hit him, and you see Vince like,
oh my gosh.
And then
he spit right in Vince's
face.
Yep.
You also see, I forget the name of this guy. I know that he was like one of the top guys at the time in WWE. Shawn Michaels, you'll notice he doesn't have a moment where he celebrates in the ring with the belt. He is ushered out urgently.
But he's playing it like he's pissed off. Have you noticed that? He's all screaming. He's mad. He runs, grabs the belt, and storms off like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah, he acts in a way that does beg the question, was or was not Shawn Michaels in on it? It's entirely plausible that he wasn't, right?
He looked confused. He looked confused to me.
So, which begs the question, was he confused? Or was he just playing confused so that he didn't get in trouble, right?
Right.
I don't know. That's a question to think about and maybe to consider as we dig deeper into this. So he wins the championship, becomes a championship. They usher him right out, and then the episode, the entire pay-per-view ends, I think, within like maybe less than a minute within the match ending. There's no fanfare. It's just done. Like, good night. Like, fade to black.
That was it.
We're out of here.
Completely shocked.
So
it was like the end of The Sopranos. It just went to black. Literally. So okay. Go on. Oh my God, this is fascinating.
Earl Hebner, the referee, you might notice as soon as he calls the match, he rolls out of the ring and leaves the building. Like, just
no, right. Okay, so here's the question. So he spit in Vince McMahon's face.
Yeah.
And
Vince McMahon is ringside.
That. Yeah.
Right? So was this Vince's call?
I mean, it looks like Bret thinks
Vince is the booker of WWF. Even though the average fan at that time doesn't know that, we now know that Vince McMahon calls the shots in WWF wrestling.
Okay, so do you think that this was an in-the-moment decision, meaning like he puts him in a thing, then Vince yells to the ref, "This is it, pin him."
Good question.
Call it?
Good question.
Or was this a pre-planned thing? Did the ref know this going in?
So there's some other factors here. Here's some other things that we know is that Bret Hart's contract with WWF ended that night.
The announcers mentioned that this might be his last match, and then I saw a sign that said "Have fun in WCW, Bret."
And there was that was the most obvious signs, but there was other signs that probably would have been less obvious to you, not having watched this era. There was signs like Bret Hart joined the NWO, which was a faction in WCW.
Gotcha.
So like there were, I don't think it was common knowledge, because if I remember correctly, when I was watching this, I would have been 17 years old when this happened. I watched this and I don't remember knowing that Bret Hart was leaving WWF when I was watching this, but clearly, but I was not a ultra inside sports fan at the time. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like going on, I guess it probably would have been like message boards at that point to like get this information or whatever. So
on AOL, you worked on AOL?
No, I was chatting with Stone Cold. I didn't have time for
exactly.
Now, at this time, I was 5. I was playing with my Tonka trucks.
Right. And I wasn't even born yet.
Right.
Because I'm only 22 years old now. So I wasn't even born at this time. But yes, go on.
Right. So we know that his contract ended that night. We know that he was going to go to WCW. And there's a lot that has come out about that. But I think that based on for the purposes of what we're doing tonight, I don't think we should say much more about the details of that, because we're going to get into that as we check out more content in the next couple weeks. But this is what we know. We know that his contract's ending. So it begs the question, if we're going to sit here and be armchair bookers and know what we know about wrestling, we say, okay, if Bret Hart's leaving WWF tonight, then logic dictates that he should drop the title.
You got to get rid of the belt. He's got to lose the belt.
He's got to lose the belt. But it does seem like he had no, that he was completely blindsided that he lost the belt. It also seemed that Shawn Michaels was completely blindsided that he lost the belt. The ref called. No one, I don't think anyone will dispute. It's fun to watch this again years later, because you wonder if you've rewritten it in your mind.
Yeah.
But it's so clear watching it 25 years later that this was totally a conspiracy, right? Like that there was no, maybe he tapped, right? There was none of that. There was no, like he was, it was just like as clear as I remember that it was just a, what the F, what just happened?
Because it was instant. He put him in the submission thing. And it was like 5-10 seconds later, the ref called it. Like there was no way Bret Hart, and he was fine, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
So something went down there, and we're going to get into it over the next couple weeks. We're going to dig in, and we're going to go deeper. Now, having watched Survivor Series, unless we want to just kind of spoil things that Koltrane's going to get to see for himself, we can't really go into much more detail about the sort of behind the scenes of what happened here. But within those confines, Tex, do you have any other observations that we might have missed here?
No, not really, because it.
Classic Tex.
I mean, I don't want to give anything away. Right?
Sup, bro?
Sup, brah?
Sup, brah?
It's look. All I can say is it's very deep, interwoven, and I don't want to say too much.
Wow, no kidding. So there's many layers to this onion.
This goes to the highest level.
You have no idea.
You have no idea.
And the thing is, I bet me and She-Boots will disagree on who's at fault on this.
You know, it's funny because my personal opinion has changed multiple times over the years.
Agree, same.
As recently as this year. So I can't wait to get into it. Now, before we kind of wrap up and talk about what we're going to get into next week, I do want to talk a little bit about the aftermath of this show, kind of like 80s.
What happened?
Well, Bret Hart moved to WCW, where he became a 2-time world heavyweight champion. And he wrestled there for 3 more years. His in-ring career ended in 2000, sadly, after a severe concussion cut his career short. And he, I think it'd be fair to say that he was quite bitter about the entire experience because, in Bret's opinion, and I would agree with this opinion, he was the one guy that was loyal to Vince all those years. When all of those wrestlers left him high and dry for a bigger paycheck, he stayed and took the lower money to help Vince out. And we'll get more into that.
Screwjobbed him.
Vince screwjobbed him, or did he?
And
then he also, fun fact, he also would publicly bury the hatchet with Shawn Michaels in 2010, 13 years later, on WWE television. He would reappear on WWE 13 years later and shake hands with Shawn Michaels.
You're kidding.
So,
wow.
In fact, we should maybe, I wonder if that's a YouTube clip. We should probably queue up and watch that at some point in this little thing. For Shawn Michaels' part, he would hold that belt until WrestleMania 14, which was about 5 months later, when he would drop the belt to Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What?
At which point he, after that, he actually severely hurt his back in a couple months after this and had to take 4 years off of wrestling for back surgery. Although Tex seems to have different opinions on that.
I don't
Conspiracy.
know.
Many layers to this onion here.
All I'm saying is when his contract ran up, his back magically healed up. Just don't throw that out there.
Okay.
It's the power of positive thinking.
Yeah. But we already told, to Iron Grudge's point in the chat, like, we already told you Undertaker versus Kane, WrestleMania 14. Well, the main event is Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, yeah. Now, as I said at the beginning of this is arguably the beginning of the Attitude Era. With Bret Hart leaving and going to WCW, the last true babyface is gone from the World Wrestling Federation. And the World Wrestling Federation has forever changed. It is its entire business model since the 1950s or 60s has been to build a major babyface and build a promotion around that babyface. And that is no longer the case because the last one is gone.
Wow.
We witnessed Degeneration X is solidified as the ultimate heel faction of the Attitude Era. Sometimes the babyface faction. The rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin's begun. Rocky Maivia is a clear standout from his faction and will soon be The Rock. We also see the likes of Undertaker, Kane, Mankind, Ken Shamrock, Triple H, Goldust, and the New Age Outlaws all rising to the top. And we even saw Sable among the first of what would be known as the divas of the WWE. She was the manager for Mark Marrow. But
wow. This is where it all began.
This is where it begins.
When he got eliminated, they're all like, "Stay, Sable, stay."
Yeah. Oh, they love Sable. I don't know why, but all right.
Wow.
We're going to put it on hold for now. This is an awesome. I'm really glad we did this. I got to be honest. I had a few concerns. It was like, well, it's a great way to start this, but I don't know how we're going to fill this first episode. But it worked out well.
Wow.
So now,
Wow.
for next week, we are going to watch a documentary by a director named Paul J., I think. It's called Hitman Hart, Wrestling with Shadows. That is the homework for this week.
Ooh.
Now, it's my understanding that you can watch this on Prime if you have Prime Video, but it looks like the director himself has posted this on YouTube. So I have a link in our show notes for you guys. I'm going to copy this link and put it in our chat right now for anyone in the chat. And I'll try to remember to put this link in the notes of our podcast episode and our YouTube posting. So anyone listening to this or watching this can click this link and go watch the documentary. It's about an hour and a half. And it is a documentary that was being filmed about Bret Hart with, at that time, unprecedented behind-the-scenes access. They just happened to be filming this documentary during the Montreal Screwjob.
Amazing.
I'm so excited because I really do believe, Koltrane, you're going to blame someone different every episode.
Right.
And I'm
Yes.
so excited.
So
That's great.
yeah, and just kind of a little kind of bird's eye view of what I'm thinking right now, and this is subject to change. We're going to watch this, and then I think the next week, so this is going to give us a really good understanding of, shortly after this, the kind of information that came out to the average fan. But then the next week after, we're actually going to watch episode 2 of Dark Side of the Ring.
Yes.
We're going to see, in sort of a 20 years-ish later, retrospective deep dive into how people remember it and what they think happened. And then we might end it. I'll decide. But we might go one more week, and we might listen to the podcast episode of Grillin' JR. That announcer that was at the desk that night, JR, he has a podcast. And he did an entire episode this last year, I think it was last year, 2022, where he gave his personal entire recollection of the events leading up to and during the Montreal Screwjob.
You're
So
kidding.
that's the battle plan I think we're going to go through.
I mean, this is so famous. This is unbelievable. The fact that, and then even last year, he's still talking about the Montreal Screwjob. Last year, his take, what he saw, what he witnessed, JR.
Yep.
I would say it's probably one of the top 5 moments in wrestling.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now, so this documentary that was made where they had unprecedented access, did this come out at that time, back in that day, or this documentary come out years and years later?
I think it came out shortly after, but you know what? Let me fact check myself right now. I'm going to IMDb it as we're talking.
Because I'm wondering, so most people probably watch this documentary on AOL. That's probably what happened.
Yeah, this documentary came out in 1998.
Oh my gosh.
So shortly after.
Right after.
Yeah.
Well, that must have caused some controversy as well.
Directed by Paul J. Yeah.
Whew. I'm sure McMahon didn't like that.
Tagline: an unprecedented look behind the scenes of the WWF.
Wow.
And the front cover, the Wall Street Journal says, this is truly a knockout film.
Well,
Ugh. They didn't even try with that one.
It slams. Right. Right.
You'll submit to this drama.
Yes, it's a pile drive of emotions.
It has 1, 2, 3 acts.
Right. I give it 1, 2, 3 stars. Right. Unbelievable. Oh, well, this is super fun. I cannot wait. I am super pumped. It felt crazy. It was weird watching.